Hi there, and welcome to the fourth episode of Shopify Kryptonite. My name is Teemu Tolonen, and I have my lovely colleague Mikko Rekola here with me in this episode.
Hello.
Hello. In the fourth episode, we're going to be talking about Shopify versus other platforms. So what do you need to consider when you are choosing your platform? Before we jump into the agenda and the topic, Mikko, what's your tip of the week for this week for our viewers?
Excellent question, Teemu. I would give my tip of the week is to go through your Shopify apps. Only use such Shopify apps that are useful. So our basic recommendation, even a rule of a thumb, would be that our merchants should have 5 max 10 apps. Apps are beautiful and very useful, but you shouldn't have too many apps. So that's my tip of the week.
That's a really good tip. I can actually relate myself. Many times if I'm been running campaigns, building questionnaires, doing bulk discount pricing, I figure that I don't need the applications anymore, but I completely forget to uninstall them. So that's a good tip. Let's talk about this is a topic that we hear a lot. So Shopify versus Magento, Shopify versus WooCommerce, Shopify versus something else. I think I've been having the dialogue, and I've been being part of the project team in roughly 100 Shopify projects. So I've seen a lot of different cases. So I'm gonna hand the floor to you, Mikko. You can shoot any questions you have when we are choosing the ecom platform, and I'll do my best to answer those.
Right on. So I have also background as a merchant, used platforms such as Hybris, Magento 1, Magento 2, WooCommerce, OpenCart, you name. But let's stick on Shopify. The first question is that for whom is Shopify or Shopify Plus an option?
I would say that Shopify works for most of the merchants. It really doesn't matter what are you selling, but I think the biggest questions are that where do you want to put in your time? Where do you want to put in your resources? If I'm building a D2C brand, if I'm selling directly to consumers, if I'm selling physical goods, if I'm selling digital products, I think Shopify would be the platform that I would go with. And probably a few exclusions are good to point out. The conversations that I've had with customers or potential customers, the exclusions for Shopify are usually in cases where we do, for example, really customizable products. Excuse me. For example, custom furniture. So any given product can basically have thousands of variations with the width and the leather or the fabric that you put on the couch, and the legs you put in there. So you can kind of come up with thousands of variations, and all of those variations might affect the price. We have ways how we can do that in Shopify, but Shopify probably won't be the best platform that you could go with. And then maybe the other exclusion could come from the fact that you are running a business which has highly complicated way how they run and manage their B2B sales. And now I'm only focused in B2B sales. So you can do B2B sales on Shopify as well, pretty good. But if you want to have 100 different customer specific price lists saved in Shopify, that's basically impossible. So D2C, selling physical or digital products for customers directly, I would definitely go with Shopify. And then B2B focused business or really heavily customized products, then I would probably consider twice before choosing Shopify.
Cool. Then what about the time window? That's probably the question I receive a lot. So how long does it take from a scratch to get a Shopify store together? So what's the average time span when you start from zero? Where and when and how is my shop ready?
This is a fun question that I really love to answer. So the quickest solutions or the quickest setups that we've done 6.5 hours. So if customer comes in at our office in the morning and they have their product information, payment gateway information, shipping options ready, they have some pictures we can put on the site, we can basically do the setup in 1 day. We've done it in 6.5 hours. And those shops are doing actually pretty well at the moment. So they were just not one-off, 1 day or 1 week concepts. And then if we go kind of on the next step, we're looking at a medium-sized shop. They are probably doing a few €100,000 or dollars in sales, or even $1 million. But there's no integrations. There might not be heavily customized design needs for the other project. I would say that 4 weeks is roughly a good schedule. So we don't have to build the IT. We don't have to build the infrastructure in those projects, because all of that comes as a given factor from Shopify. So basically, we put in the products, we do the migration, we do the URL redirections. We don't do customizations in the theme, but we kind of build the customer journey with the options that are already in the theme. We do the settings, and then we install and configure all the applications that are needed. So it's roughly 4 weeks. And then probably kind of on the other end of the spectrum, we have those projects where we have an ERP system, maybe a PIM system, and we might need to do heavily customized design, even a headless solution maybe. Then we're talking usually something from 8 to 12 weeks. But it's no more like 6 months, 8 months, 12 months that people were used to. So 4 weeks, 8 weeks is going to be enough in most cases.
Sounds very smooth indeed. What about the fact then that as a merchant yourself, so you are a Shopify merchant, what are the basic pros of a Shopify store? How would you recommend using Shopify, and why do you love Shopify that much?
I love the easiness. It's kind of, I don't have to take care about the technical stuff in the background. So I can run the paid ads as high volume that I want to, and I know that the store is going to perform well. So I can have as much traffic that I want. I don't have to care about how many customers are buying simultaneously. I don't have to care about the SSL certificates. I don't even know what that means, but I know that you have to have one, which is included in Shopify. So, and kind of the intuitive way how you can figure out your ways on the back end. So kind of creating new products, creating new collections, doing small things in the theme on the front page. Anyone can basically do them after the project that we do, or after they kind of figure themselves out in a few weeks. So the easiness, the secureness that comes with Shopify is absolutely the biggest plus. And then I think in Shopify, I wouldn't even call Shopify as a platform. I would call it as an ecosystem. So all the applications that are already there, Klaviyo, Yotpost, Ship Heroes, they kind of complete Shopify in those places where you need to do more marketing, where you need to do the warehousing, where you need to print out the shipping label. So kind of the huge success that Shopify has created a whole new ecosystem of kind of developing companies to build their own Shopify apps, and all of those applications are already integrated. So I just need to put them in, install them, and do some simple configuration, and I'm good to go. So easiness and the scalability that comes from the ecosystem are big upsides.
Definitely, I can completely agree on that. As being a former merchant, so the dashboard, being like able to control what's happening in your shop, and then the best possibility to focus on those topics that are most crucial for your cash flow. That's something that I personally love in there. Then like taking a completely different kind of approach, because we have lots of clients in Europe, and let's face it, Europe is different. Lots of different regions, languages, even currencies. How does Shopify help me there? What should I do if I want to sell to different markets?
It's an interesting view, and there's a couple options that we can do on Shopify. So again, depending on a few things. The first of what I would check is that where are you located at? So if you have Shopify payments available, you can get multi-currency in a single shop, which means that you can sell on almost any currency in the world. Shopify does automatic currency translations when people are going to the checkout and making the purchase. So if you have Shopify payments available in Sweden, in Netherlands, in UK, in US, there's a lot of countries. Hope to see Finland soon on that list. So you can play with the multi-currency. Shopify now has a API for the languages or the translations as well. So it means that we can now have multi-language on one single shop or in one single shop. So, but I still need an application, Langify or Langshop or one of those. So basically, if I'm in a country where I have Shopify payments, I can do multi-currency. And with one single application, I can do multi-language as well. And for the smaller merchants, usually the one shop setup is kind of the easiest way how you can go with things. But many of our bigger customers, we have done a multi-shop environment, either with Shopify Plus, which already includes the 10 shops, or then we've basically built separate shops. And the idea of having separate shops might seem kind of intimidating, but it's not. Basically, when we do one shop, we just clone it and put in the language in the new shop that we want to have there, Norwegian, German, Danish, whatever. We pick the currency for that shop, and we just have one simple application or a ERP system that's kind of keeping track of the inventory if we get orders simultaneously from many shops. And kind of, I would say that the language issues is kind of something the merchant has to think from the resource point of view as well. The more you have languages in your shop, the more kind of translation work will be needed, at least in languages that can be automatically translated, like Finnish, for example. So you can get a really, really flexible setup and solution for kind of regular Shopify customer who wants to sell in multiple markets. And a basic setup could basically be that I have one shop in my local market in Sweden or in Finland. I'm having Finnish or Swedish as the language, Swedish kronors or euros in Finland as the currency. Then I would probably have one shop for the whole European Union, including the VAT, euro as a currency. And then I would have maybe one shop for the customers who are coming outside from the European Union, and I can sell VAT free for those customers. And I can choose the currency to be dollars, for example, which is pretty universal. And it's not complicated to do that setup and kind of keeping it kind of updated and running and bug free all the time.
Gotcha. What about then the fact that when we are talking about Shopify or some other platforms, the one thing that is different is that it's like cloud-based. How can that help me?
Well, there's kind of many advantages that come. I kind of already mentioned the IT-free hassle that there is. So I don't have to build the infrastructure that's usually involved in kind of other platforms like in WooCommerce or Magento. So I don't have to buy the server space. I don't have to buy the hosting. I don't have to buy the SSL certificates from kind of a other partner or the partner that I'm working with. They all come with the Shopify monthly fee. And the other part is that it's a globally hosted network. So basically, depending where my customers are viewing the content that I have in the shop, basically meaning the product pictures, those pictures, for example, are downloaded from the physically closest server that the customer is located at. So if I'm here, Shopify isn't loading the pictures that I'm seeing at the moment from a server in US. It's going to use a server somewhere close, which is kind of a good thing. It's reliable, it's fast, and it's scalable. So I can upload 1,000 new products and I don't have any performance issues. I can have 10,000 new visitors next week and I'm not going to have any performance issues. So it's a service that you use. It's not a IT system that you built. I would kind of end the topic there with the service point.
Excellent sum up. Then like the last question of today is the one that is somewhat of a difficult, at least from my perspective in some cases. Should I go with Shopify or Shopify Plus? What's the difference? From
a technical point of view, there's a few differences. I believe I wrote a blog post on the Woolman pages sometime last year about the topic. So basically, with the Shopify Plus, you're going to get, for example, well, first of all, you're going to get 10 shops. So with the Shopify Plus licenses, you're going to have 10 shops, including the wholesale channel, which is a big advantage already. So if you know that your business is going to be pretty big, selling a few million euros or dollars at least, Shopify Plus is going to be kind of your go-to option that you're going to be looking first. And with the Shopify Plus, you're going to get basically 2 or 3 technical tools that you don't have available on the other Shopify plans. And those tools are the Launchpad. So basically a tool where you can schedule all the campaigns, meaning the discounts, the new product launches, and the launch of a new theme, which is the coolest feature that there is, I think, because you can do a nice Black Friday or Christmas theme, save it, and with the Launchpad, you can say that it's going to be the Black Friday morning, 1 minute past midnight, and it's going to go live, and you can publish the new products, you can publish the campaigns exactly on that second. That's with the Launchpad. With Shopify Flow, I can build automated workflows. So I can do tagging of the customers. If somebody makes a first purchase that is over 500 euros, I can automatically tag them as VIP customers with the Shopify Flow. And my Klaviyo can be using the same flow and starting a VIP treatment for that customer, which is a really, really cool feature. And again, no technical know-how needed. You can just click the settings, save it, and you're going to be done. And the third point with Shopify Plus is that you can use the Shopify scripts, which are a bit more technical. You might need a partner to kind of install them or implement them. And with the scripts, you can do some customizations even on the checkout page. So based on customer's country or maybe even the contents of the shopping cart, we can show custom payment options. We can probably show custom shipping options, and we can kind of customize more things that we can do with the regular Shopify. And those features, and if you have a big enough business, are usually kind of the reasons why I would choose Shopify Plus. You have to have some volume because, of course, there's the cost of $2,000 per month plus the 0.15% commission. But it's basically the same platform. So kind of on the performance side, if you can live without those features that I was rambling about, you can go with the regular Shopify as well. But if you want to scale, if you already have maybe plus million in sales, I would most likely myself be looking at Shopify Plus as my primary option at that time.
Beautiful. My final question of today. So there has been like discussion that Shopify Plus is a great option if you're really like willing to have your direct consumer brand scaled up. But then there is that some sort of like doubt, at least you can see that in many discussions, that is this like hardcore enough of a solution? Can this really help me out? So what kind of brands are using Shopify Plus? Could you give me any examples?
That's a perfect question, and definitely a way how I want to summarize the conversations we've been having. The customers we have, the biggest ones, are probably doing 20 or 30 million in sales annually, which is pretty big. But then if you have a look what's happening globally on the market, you have a look on the biggest direct-to-consumer brands, MVMT, Allbirds, just to name a few. Those are companies that are making plus 100 million euros in sales, and they've done it in record time. I think it's been like their third or fourth year in business, and they are already doing plus 100 million euros in sales. And companies like that, they are choosing Shopify Plus as their primary platform at the moment. And I strongly believe the reason behind that is that they can focus on building the brand, they can focus on the customer acquisition, and they don't have to care about the scalability issues. They don't have to care about the IT. So kind of the whole look of the organization in those companies, it's a lot different. It's not an IT group. It's a group of brand builders, performance marketing specialists, and those kind of guys. And then they might even have a 3PL warehousing, so they don't even have to have their own warehousing. But that's a different conversation.
Amazing, Teemu. Thank you for the discussion. Hopefully we will have new team with Shopify Kryptonite next week, something to do with growth. Thanks for all of your replies. If you have any questions, feel free to write them below or be in contact. We are delighted to help you out.
Thank you.
Take care. See you. Bye-bye.